So what we decided to do is really two things. First of all, we decided to carve out of the organization a number of people to go after these new businesses. So basically there was I would say, the traditional business from Fujitsu, the traditional outsourcing business from Fujitsu, which was built around this risk management. And then there was the new business, and we carved out a number of people. Just to give you an idea of size, it was about 100 people that we took outside of the organization. And we decided these people will have a different focus, which is to grow these businesses, these new businesses. So the cloud business, the digital business, etc. And then we organized these people into micro enterprises. So basically we created, in 5 different countries, we created 15 micro enterprises. So 3 for each of the businesses. So so if you zoom and look at one country, you would have in one country a micro enterprise looking after the cloud business, one looking after the digital business, and one looking after the cybersecurity business. And this micro enterprise, if you look at each one of them, we just took between 4 and 12 people, and we put these people in this micro enterprise. The way we selected the people was not only based on their skills and competencies, but was also based on their soft skills. So basically the people had more an entrepreneur type of mindset. And then we put these people together, and we appointed one of the people as the leader. So not the manager, there is no management into a micro enterprise, but one of the people was the leader, more in a primus inter pares mode than in a real management role. And we said, okay, now this micro enterprise, we will enable it to grow the business in the country. So you had a diversity of people in each of the micro enterprises. You had some sales people, some pre-sales people, some consultants, some technical architects, etc. And then you had all these people in this micro enterprise under the leadership of one of them, and then we gave them an environment to make them successful. So what we told them is basically, first of all, you're self-organized. So you organize the way you want. Also, in terms of go-to-market, we gave them the freedom to go after a certain market. So, of course, within certain constraints, so that we have to develop the portfolio. So if you're a cloud micro enterprise, you're there to sell cloud, but you can decide locally which vertical you want to sell to. Do you want to sell to healthcare? Do you want to sell to retail? Do you want to sell to manufacturing, etc.? So basically, we let them freedom in terms of go-to-market. We also, and this was something that was also within certain boundaries, we gave them freedom to hire people. So instead of having to go through a lot of hoops when you hire a new person, we said, okay, you can hire people within certain boundaries. Of course, you cannot hire people too many people at too high salaries, but within certain boundaries, they can hire people. If they feel they need a consultant with a specific skill to develop their business, they can just go onto the market and hire that consultant without even asking for permission. We also, so we said, go to market, hiring, self-organizing. Also for procurement, up to a certain level, they could buy what they need. If they thought they needed a certain software to be successful in their business, go buy software. If they thought that they need to buy a service from another company, they could do that. We also gave them the freedom to do their own procurement, and also the freedom to approve deals within a certain amount. So whenever there is a deal in a service business, there are always some governance and some approval that's required. We gave them the freedom to really approve the deals within certain boundaries just on the spot. So they're at the customer, they can just say, okay, let's go for it, and we go for this business. Of course, with certain boundaries in terms of terms and conditions and stuff like that. But overall, this really gave them agility. And we also move our Western European team, so my direct team, my direct central team, to really change the way they were operating. So instead of telling the countries what to do, what I said to my direct central team was to say, okay, guys, now instead of directing the countries, you have to listen to the countries are in charge, and you have to support and enable them. So that was really a big change in mindset also from the central team. So we set up this new model about 5.5 months ago. So we started on April the 1st, which is the beginning of our financial year. So I would certainly not claim victory now after 5.5 months, especially with the conditions that we've encountered with the coronavirus crisis. But I would say most signals are green. So I would say this is positive. It's working well. We're seeing increased pipeline. We're seeing some deals already signed, which were deals that we would probably not have signed without this new structure. So there are positive signs. Not everything is nice and rosy. We're still struggling on some of the businesses in some of the countries, but overall, this is definitely going in the right direction. And there's also some learning that we got from that. So one of the learning that I wanted to share with, I think it's pretty interesting, is the leader of the micro enterprise. So we basically had a choice. In certain countries, we picked existing managers and we gave them the responsibility to drive a micro enterprise. In some other countries, there was nobody with the right profile. We hired people externally. And in some other countries, we took individual contributors, so non-managing people, and we told them, okay, now you're in charge of the micro enterprise. And actually, the two that worked the best were the new hires, because we picked them from smaller companies in general that didn't have all the bureaucracy that can exist in a large multinational company such as Fujitsu. So they were more able to work in an agile environment. But also the non-managers did actually better than the existing managers. So the existing managers were biased by their previous management experience, and we found that they had more difficulty to cope with this new model. So that was something that I thought was really interesting. And another finding that I found interesting is that the cloud business seems to work better than the other business and had, I would say, tangible results before the other businesses. And that's probably also due to the fact that the support that we're offering is more mature. So the central team support is something essential. So in our case, the micro enterprises are not self-sufficient. They really rely on the rest of the business, which is there to help them in certain aspects. And having this support organization more mature is actually helping them. In the case of some of the other businesses where this central organization is not as mature, the micro enterprise are struggling a little bit more. So I think that yes, it is important to have the right people in the micro enterprise, the right focus, and the right mechanisms and processes in place, but also the support that the rest of the organization can offer them is of paramount importance. And just to conclude, I would say that if you look at the overall model, I would say that we're pretty advanced in terms of self-organizing. As I said, we're self-organizing, but also the team can choose to hire new people, to transform, to bring new talent into the organization. So I think that we're pretty advanced on that front. I think that we're doing a pretty good job also on the incentive side. So although we're not to a full, okay, now let's share the benefits with the team of what we've done, I think that we're still, we're doing well in that area. So everybody in the micro enterprise has a variable part of their salary. So there's a fixed part of the salary and a variable part of the salary, which normally you find in sales, but in all departments here, everybody is on a variable salary. And also decided that micro enterprise will succeed or fail together, which means that everybody in the micro enterprise is paid on exactly the same thing. So if somebody in the cloud micro enterprise in France, they will all succeed or they will all fail, but their destinies together to really reinforce this team spirit. So just to conclude, I would say, looks very successful, looks very promising, but let's give us a few more months before we can really claim victory and say, yep, this is the model for